All right, we move ahead this week with our next guest. He's back in the octagon this Saturday at UFC 258. He's already getting that weight down. He takes on Kelvin Gastelum, big one at 185 pounds. So let us say hello to Ian Heinisch. Ian, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. Obviously, 2020 was a crazy year for you, man. We actually spoke before the Gerald Mearshart fight, and all of that craziness happened with the false positive COVID test. The fight was off, then the fight was back on. You get a quick finish. And then you were unfortunately scratched from 2 fights with Brendan Allen. One was right before it was supposed to happen. And I know how much you wanted that fight. So I'm curious, you end the year undefeated, impressive finish, but how would you describe your 2020 as a whole?
The year 2020 for me was a year of growth. You know, I lost 2 fights because of COVID, and I lost a fight because of injury, and only got to fight 1 time. But I feel I improved so much. I switched camps. I trained in Thailand. I trained in Vegas. I'm over here at Genesis with Coach Jacob Ramos and training with Team Elevation. Just the growth has been substantial. And, last year the fans only got to see about a minute of that growth. And I call that the Hurricane 2.0. And this year will be the Hurricane 3.0. So I'm excited to have an active and undefeated year.
Like we just sort of referenced, you really wanted that fight with Brendan Allen, and he got pushed back a couple of weeks and ended up fighting Sean Strickland. And I know you've trained with Sean before, but watching that play out, watching Sean put Brendan away like that, was there a part of you that had a little bit of FOMO that you were like, man, that could have been my knockout?
Yeah, you said it right. You know, I super happy Sean put on a great performance, you know, hats off to him. But when he got that knockout, he got the 50 G's. I was like, man, that's mine. You know, like kind of felt like something was taken from me, and Allen wasn't willing to wait 2 weeks. I would have been ready in 2 weeks. I was ready that night, but the UFC wouldn't let me go. So, you know, it was frustrating, but when something bad happens like that, you got to stay focused, and God works in mysterious ways. And now I got a way bigger opportunity in front of me.
So as we head towards this big fight on Saturday, you know, since you put Mearshart away in June, so much has happened in this division, right? Like we saw Holland, Marvin Vettori make big moves. Even Khamzat Chimaev's story was heavily involved in the division. And now we have Israel Adesanya getting ready to fight for the light heavyweight title. What have you sort of made of this middleweight madness over the last 7 or 8 months?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I've seen guys like Kevin Holland and Vettori make these huge jumps. And I knew it was just a matter of time before I was going to get my opportunity. The middleweight division right now is full of opportunities, and I've been preparing for this. So I was so happy when I got the call to fight Gastelum, and what an opportunity it is, what a matchup it is, and it's going to be a fun fight for the fans.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those like everything happens for a reason kind of phone calls, right?
Absolutely, yes.
I mean, the opportunity to fight a guy like Kelvin, that isn't lost on you or anybody else. That's a big name, a guy who gave the current champion everything he could handle and then some. Former Ultimate Fighter winner. The guy has done a lot in the sport, but outside of like the opportunity itself and what it means, the pure X's and O's behind it all, how do you like this one?
Man, I love it. You know, Gastelum's a tough guy. He's fought the who's who. I feel like kind of feels like the fight against Derek Brunson, you know, and that was just my 3rd fight in the UFC, and I don't feel I was fully mentally ready for that, and even physically. And I learned so much from fighting Brunson, and now getting an opportunity to get back in the top 10 against the guy who has fought all the who's who and who's fought for a title and almost won the title, by the way. You know, I feel physically, spiritually, and mentally ready to go to war and let the best man win.
The opportunistic side of you must be like, hell yeah, this is great. But the competitive side to you, you must be loving this because you're facing a guy that not only has all the credentials you just mentioned, but and obviously a guy who just fought for the title not that long ago. But his back's against the wall, man. And it just is what it is. 3 straight losses heading into this fight in a division with an insane amount of momentum happening. This is obviously as must win as it gets for Kelvin, but knowing the competitive nature and what he has to bring to this fight, this must be right up your alley from a competitive standpoint, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, absolutely. This is the guy that is going to really boost my career and, you know, show the division that I'm a threat. And I've been training for the best Kelvin Gastelum. You know, he, like you said, he's dropped 3 in a row, and, you know, he's going to come out swinging. I mean, when your back's against the wall, I've been there. My back's been against the wall many times in the cage and in my fighting career, and also in life. And you fight harder than you've ever fought before because it's do or die. And that's who I'm expecting. I'm coming in there motivated and ready. And the first 4 minutes I know are going to be insane. So fans need to tune in. This is going to be a wild fight.
You mentioned earlier, you're at Genesis right now. You've been sort of cross-training with Elevation. You're back to being full-time in Colorado. I know you're at Extreme Couture for a little bit. Is this more of like a convenience thing for you, just sticking around in one spot rather than having to travel back and forth?
Yeah, from what I learned in my last fight is, there's really, it's hard to say how to be safe and avoid getting the corona. Avoiding it's kind of ridiculous, especially for what we do for a living. We fight people. We're sweating on each other. We're bleeding on each other. I mean, so for me, it was important to keep my immune system strong, which is not overtraining. And traveling back and forth from Vegas really dampers and lowers your immune system. So, like you said, it's been convenience. I loved Extreme Couture. Coach Eric, all the guys over there were great. Having the PI right down the street is amazing. But for this one, I'm just trying this out. And after this, I look to seek warmer weather and go down to Florida for like a month and check it out down there. And obviously this is my home. I love my coaches. I plan on staying with them, but I want to just kind of train around and avoid this winter.
Yeah, I mean, Elevation being able to cross-train with them, they got a ton of momentum right now. Corey Sandhagen just had the most ridiculous knockout I've seen in a long time. And
Seriously.
then, Kamaru Usman's there. Drew Dober's there. I'm sure that's like a perfect body for you to get ready for this fight. What has that been like for you?
Yeah, we didn't get to spar as many times as I'd like, but me and Drew got some good rounds in, and he's like the spitting image of Gastelum, except Gastelum weighs more. He moves the same. He's the same height. So hold on, sorry about that. Yeah, he moves the same. He's like the same height. So just cross training with all these different people. Chris Camosi's back training with us full time, and he's a good southpaw. Obviously a little bit taller, but yeah, it's been great, man. Just a mixture of people and just been more stable. Have an Airbnb now for a straight month, 5 weeks. So it's been really nice to be grounded for a while.
So how do we get this thing done on Saturday? And how do you go out there and steal the show and steal some shine?
I go out there, I mix things up. I'm constantly going between striking, clinching, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, and finding the finish, whether it's on the feet or the ground.
If this Ian Heinisch could go back in time and speak with that Ian Heinisch from like 13 or 14 years ago, what would you say to that guy?
Man, I would just say, keep seeking God, keep doing what you're doing, turn away from drugs, and don't let any of the doubters get in your head. You're not too old. You're not too far gone. And I would say that to other people out there that are listening.
Well, you have come through on the other side, and you get the opportunity to take another big step on Saturday, Ian. Big fight with Kelvin Gastelum at UFC 258. I know you get a million things going on. It's fight week. I appreciate the time as always, sir. All the best to you the rest of this week and in the fight itself, man.